Hi, I'm Nicole Ferraro, and this is The Divide, a podcast from Light Reading exploring the ongoing digital divide, why and where it still exists, and what needs to be done to get people everywhere connected to reliable, high-speed internet. My guest today is Joey Wender, Executive Director of SHLB, which is short for the Schools, Health, and Libraries Broadband Coalition. Wender and SHLB are currently leading the fight to save E-Rate, a universal service fund program that helps fund connectivity in schools and libraries to the tune of $3 billion per year. Recently, the FCC voted to open a proceeding that would consider, among other things, terminating E-Rate. In this episode, we discuss some of the details of and concerns about that proceeding, why ending E-Rate would widen the digital divide, and we cover SHLB's new Save Our E-Rate campaign, through which the organization hopes to rally enough support to save the program. Joey, welcome back to the podcast. So great to see you. How's it going?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, Nicole.
It's my pleasure, and our audience won't get the privilege of seeing this, but we're basically wearing the same exact color T-shirt, which is pretty cool. Also a prerequisite that I like to put out there before my guests join me on the pod.
So coordinated.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're coordinated around here at the Divide. So last time we had you on the Divide, you were serving as the director of the Capital Projects Fund at the Treasury Department during the Biden administration. And now you are serving as the executive director at the Schools, Health, and Libraries Broadband Coalition, or SHLB, a much easier way to phrase that. So before we dive into our main topic today, which is going to be the E-Rate program and some shenanigans surrounding that at the moment, why don't you briefly tell us a bit about what SHLB is and your role at the organization?
Thanks. So SHLB, the Schools, Health, and Libraries Broadband Coalition, is a nationwide advocacy organization that is dedicated to ensuring that anchor institutions, schools, healthcare facilities, and libraries have the connectivity they need to serve their communities. I mean, these are places where we learn, where we grow, and we seek care. They're the heartbeats of our communities, and they've got to have connectivity in order to serve those that live in those neighborhoods.
Indeed. So, as I mentioned, our main topic today is the E-Rate program, which is a program under the Universal Service Fund to help fund that connectivity that you mentioned is so needed at schools and libraries. So rather than me fumbling my words explaining more about E-Rate, can you offer some history of E-Rate, how it works, and a bit about why this program is so important and what it's accomplished?
E-Rate's been around for 30 years. In 1996, Congress had the wisdom to make the first real attempt at closing the digital divide in this country. Right? They passed this act, and there was a lot in there, but included in there was a program that was called the E-Rate. And it ensures that all schools and libraries, regardless of whether they're in affluent areas or low-income communities, have the funds needed to connect to the internet. Right? Internet access is a utility. It's essential. We knew at the time, and it continues to be the case, that the most affluent and well-off communities can pay for these connections. But what E-Rate does is ensure that all places, whether in the most rural or urban places, are able to afford the connection. So E-Rate works as a discount, okay? And the discount is determined by how many kids in the school district apply for federally subsidized school lunch. It's a great proxy to the relative affluence or lack thereof of a community. And so the poorest of our communities, the poorest of our towns, only pay 10%. They receive a 90% discount from E-Rate to help pay those internet bills year over year.
Right. And if I have this number right, I think it's roughly close to $3 billion a year that E-Rate spends.
$3 billion. It's not just a $3 billion a year program. Mm-hmm. There's 115,000 K-12 schools in the United States. This is not just public. This is private. This is parochial. This is other religious, charter, 115,000. 100,000 of them receive E-rate support. This is something that almost every school enjoys, every school needs in order to pay for a service that's essential in 2026.
Indeed, which leads us nicely into what's going on at the moment with surrounding E-rate, at least. So I'll set this up. I'll give you a moment to get ready to dive in. But so the FCC recently voted to approve a notice of proposed rulemaking that is seeking to reform E-rate. For our audience, I'm putting that in quotes.
Nicole, those are so many nice words. A notice of proposed rulemaking to reform. Can we try this again? Can we come up with some new language? I'm going to do it for you.
You go ahead.
You're the host, but I'm doing it for you. The FCC voted last week to start a process to either kill or limit the E-rate program.
There you go.
Explicitly ask,
yep,
should the program be terminated or should it be limited to rural areas only?
Yes, yes, indeed. That is exactly what it says in the notice. And I will also add that the chairman of the FCC, Brendan Carr, has framed this entire thing as though it's about screen time for kids, which I'm sure we all agree everyone, especially kids, need less screen time. But that's not what this is about. As you have set up here, this program funds essential connectivity for schools and libraries. And now the FCC has posed in this notice of proposed rulemaking, which is the official name, but it has literally asked if the E-rate program should, if it's done its job and therefore it should go away, which is funny in itself as a question, or if it should be limited into specific areas or further streamlined to put more guardrails around who's eligible and so on. And I should say, while all three commissioners voted to approve this notice, Commissioner Gomez noted that she was voting for it because it's a notice to open the comment period.
Well, she dissented in part.
Yes, and she said that these proposals reflect a fundamental misunderstanding of the challenges schools and libraries face today and reveal a striking cognitive dissonance at the core of this item. So that's important to note. So obviously you feel strongly about this. So let me let you take the floor here and say more about your opposition to this notice, your concerns about where this might lead, and I guess what would happen if E-rate were to actually go away, but I hate to even go there.
Concerns about screen time are valid.
Yep.
I'm a father of a 6 and 9-year-old. I get it and I understand it. Those concerns, however, should not be a backdoor for cutting school and library funding to connect to the internet. Those two issues are not directly connected to each other. Issues of screen time both involve a potential conflation between mobile phone use, which is private phone use, and intentional educational use in schools. So that's one level of complexity that is not appreciated in this item. Mm-hmm. But the other piece is the FCC is not a local school board. Okay, they are not educators. These are questions that should be left and have historically been left to states and locals to decide how to educate the youth of America. Yeah. The FCC in this case is running a connectivity program, a telecom program that every school needs. We live in 2026. Remember when everyone used the phrase Internet of Things?
Yeah. Yes.
We still are in Internet of Things world. We just don't use the terminology anymore.
Right.
Schools use internet connectivity for more than just education in the classroom. How do you think school security works, or HVAC, cooling and heating a building, or the communications within the building itself? They all run on internet. Thermostats now have little sensors all over the building. how do you think they communicate with one another? Because there's internet connections.
Yep.
So the little thermostat or sensor will say, this room is cold. Make it warmer. Or
Yep.
this room is warm. We need more AC. So the notion that we're just going to get rid of the internet flies in the face of how all modern buildings work today.
100%. It also makes no sense when you think about, the E-rate program going away, let's say, wouldn't solve the screen time issue for kids when E-rate is specifically for, low income areas and schools and libraries that need it. So even if E-rate were to go away, we still have a segment of the population that wasn't being served with that anyway. And there are also other ways to address the screen time issue, like my state has banned cell phones during the school day, and you see kids walking around with those Yonder pouches to unlock their phone at the end of the day, and they seem to like that, actually. But those schools still need the internet for all of their other operations, regardless.
Absolutely. The effect of E-rate going away,
yeah,
is enlarging the digital divide.
Mm-hmm.
The whole point of E-rate was to close the digital divide between poor communities and wealthy communities. And so if you take the E-rate funding away, who's going to suffer the most?
Right.
Disadvantaged and low-income communities that are going to have a hole blown into their school budgets or their library budgets.
Yeah.
That's the effect.
Right.
It is money being taken away from schools and libraries at a moment when they cannot afford to lose any money. There is so much pressure on state and local government budgets right now. And now the federal government has just proposed to rip $3 billion more away from schools and libraries.
Yeah. And this isn't the FCC's first, bite out of E-rate and under this administration. We had the rollback of the rule that allowed Wi-Fi hotspots to be funded, and now there's coming a portal, I guess, for that E-rate applicants are going to have to deal with, that I think you called, I forget what words you used, but you were opposed to the portal.
A solution in search of a problem.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. So what do you think is really going on here? Like the FCC seems to have under this chairman, a vendetta against this program.
I don't like to speak for the intent of others.
Fair.
Okay? All I can do is evaluate what the impact will be of policies. And I can tell you the impact will be less funds for schools and libraries, and or you mentioned the competitive bidding portal.
Yeah, that's it.
Pressing demand for the program and making the program itself overly burdensome. Right. Congress did not intend for this thing to be too hard and too difficult and too cumbersome. Congress wanted schools and libraries to benefit from them. Yeah. And I can tell you the impact of all of these policies will be, particularly if this last one is enacted, will be a smaller E-rate, less benefit flowing to our communities. That will be the effect.
Right. Yes. So before we get to how you guys are responding and all of that, are there any proposals in that NPRM that you guys are interested in, or are there other reforms that you would like to see in the E-rate program, maybe in a different time?
We're always open, in fact, excited about improving E-rates.
Yeah.
E-rate is not some static program. No federal program of its size and nature should be static. And so there are valid questions in there about SIPA. SIPA is the Children's Internet Protection Act.
Yep.
SIPA requires that schools and libraries that receive E-rate funding put filters in place, which, by the way, are good things and help protect our children from obscenity, from violence, from sexual content that is inappropriate for those ages. That's good. Yep. So we should look at, and that's valid to look at, okay, is SIPA working well? How could it work better at protecting our students and our children from harmful content? That's a valid question. There are valid questions in there about how it's administered, the role of consultants, right? We think that consultants provide a benefit because it is a complex program and it
Yeah.
helps schools do what they do best, which is educate. But there are things in there that are worth talking about, right? We're always looking to improve. But the commission keeps talking about this as a screen time item.
Hmm.
But I can tell you, graphs 12 through 28 question the whole existence of the entire program. And I do want to spend a minute on, which we haven't
Please.
today. I find it particularly concerning that they're valuing or potentially valuing rural communities above urban communities. The whole point of the program is
Yeah.
supposed to be universal service, universal. It's not about urban versus rural. It's about advantage versus disadvantage, right? A
Yeah.
low income community is a low income community. If that's Detroit or if that is an extremely rural area of North Dakota, that shouldn't matter. Each of those communities needs a discount, help to make the internet affordable.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you pointed that out. That is a strange distinction that they're trying to draw. It's not like, I guess if you think of fiber deployment or whatever, that might make sense to focus more on a more rural area where there's less infrastructure. But when it comes to serving low income communities, certainly urban communities need those resources.
Absolutely. And E-rate, I'm glad you brought E-rate is a technology neutral program. The
Right.
majority of schools enjoy a fiber connection because of the capacity requirements and the bandwidth requirements of schools and based upon where they are and based upon the fiber footprint in those communities. But there are schools and anchors in this country, schools, libraries, and health clinics that rely on a whole host of other technologies, whether it be fixed wireless, whether it be LEO, whether it be satellites,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
The E-rate doesn't care about the technology. It cares about making it affordable.
Right. So I'm curious. I want to get to what you guys are doing to respond, but I'm also wondering, what are you hearing from the schools and libraries in your Shelby community? Are they worried about how this is going to end up? And in addition to that, tell us a bit about the Save Our E-rate campaign that you guys had launched pretty much immediately after the vote happened, which is both a website where people can go to find some resources and action items, but also it seems to be like an effort you're going to be working on over the next month or so. So let's hear a bit about the reaction you're getting from your community and about the Save Our E-rate campaign.
People are mad. People are upset.
Yep.
And people are fired up.
Great.
And that's why we're pointing people to SaveOurErate.com. SaveOurErate.com is a landing page, a clearinghouse for both resources on what would the impact be. In fact, we have tools that you can download, what it would mean to your state and your congressional district. And then we have, more importantly, tools for you to contact both your member of Congress or your member of Congress and your two members of the Senate, as well as the FCC, and tell them, don't do this. Yeah. The FCC is required by law to accept comments from any stakeholder in the country. That comment period will open soon. We expect it to happen right after the 4th of July.
Okay.
And there's 60 days.
Okay.
60 days for people to submit their comments. And then another 30 for people to reply to the comments that were already put in. This is something that Shelby advocated strongly for. Yep. Originally, they only wanted to give people 30 days, and they did acquiesce and give folks more time, particularly given that the biggest beneficiary of this program are schools, and it is the middle of the summer, right? And so we ought to make sure that schools' voices are heard. But I would encourage everybody who cares about this program, make your voice heard.
Yeah.
Contact your member of the House, contact your two senators, and definitely submit something to the FCC that says, do not touch this, hands off E-rate, and why it's so important for your community.
Okay, great. I'll make sure that the website is linked in our show notes and everything, and I'm going to be keeping up with the
Thank
comments
you.
as they roll in, of course. But not to be a downer, but this FCC has 3 commissioners, 2 of whom vote pretty much in lockstep. So if this ultimately comes up for rulemaking and it doesn't go your way, are there legal recourse? Like, what are there next steps that you're already thinking about? Because
Well,
you see
first,
the
I'm
same
not going to
FCC I do.
concede.
I understand.
I'm
Yes,
not conceding. And I think that our advocacy is going to be powerful.
I agree.
And I've
Yep.
told you about the wide impact of this program.
Yep.
Um, but if we lose,
Mm-hmm.
we will absolutely sue.
Okay, great. Okay. Got it.
This
Okay.
is a long fight.
Yeah.
They have declared war on the E-rate program.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this proposal does. And
would,
if they want to continue the war,
yeah,
we will fight back as long as it takes.
The one benefit to this happening over the summer is you can get teachers who are not working right now to go and do some actual rallying, maybe in front of the FCC. So anyway.
We've got lots of ideas.
Okay, all right. You don't need
ways in which we're going to ensure that we make their voices heard.
Fantastic. I am looking forward to keeping up with all of that activity, and I will be rooting for you.
Thank you.
So before I let you go, as I mentioned at the top here, in prior times, in the before times, we had you on this podcast when you were doling out capital projects funds from the American Rescue Plan. That was $10 billion from the Capital Projects Fund program. At the time, you described those funds to me and probably to others, but to me as a down payment on the digital divide before BEAD was to come in and finish the job. You're probably keeping up with how things are progressing with the BEAD program. So I'm just wondering if you have any reaction to what's happened with BEAD over the last year under the Trump administration, and whether or not you have concerns about how those changes and the ongoing delays are going to further impact the communities that you're trying to protect over at SHLB.
There's a lot there. We still, at the beginning of July of 2026, are awaiting guidance on how states can spend what are called non-deployment dollars.
Yep.
That's about a $20 billion question. Mm-hmm. The longer we wait, the longer communities wait in order to spend that money to benefit their constituencies, in order to improve people's lives. So the longer we wait, the longer that benefit does not flow to communities. All
right. You want to leave it there?
I think there's frustration from many corners.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, well said. And I do have a story up about that today because I watched that hearing yesterday.
Yep.
And there was also some other concerning language that she used that made me suspicious about whether or not those non-deployment dollars are indeed committed in the way that the law states. But we will see. Time will tell. We'll see on all of these matters.
We've made at Shelby, we've made our voices known very clearly to NTIA.
Yeah.
We want to see those non-deployment dollars flow. We think that so much of what was intended in the act, when you think about digital opportunity and digital literacy, so much of that activity happens at anchor institutions.
Right.
But some of it happens at a library in a school.
Yeah.
And we think that's so important for those funds to flow. We also think that states should be free to connect all anchors within their borders to high-speed internet for those that continue to lack it, whether they be a school, library, health clinic, or a house of worship, a senior center, a youth center, and we've made our position known very clear on that front as well. It really should be states that are driving this, and that was the philosophy that I used when I ran the Capital Projects Fund under the last administration.
Yeah, and that was the general idea here. But anyway, we'll leave it there for now, Joey. It was such a pleasure to get to talk with you again, and I will be following up with you as this E-rate war continues.
Looking forward to it. Thanks for covering this.
Of course. Thank you again, Joey, for joining me. Thank you as well to Pierre Landriau for editing this episode. Be sure to subscribe to the Light Reading Podcast for more episodes of The Divide, as well as interviews and insights from the Light Reading team. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.